Good friend Justin Reed and Adriana Conte. They'll explain to you how they're using social media to have a very cost-effective development and engagement with customers. Guys, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dimitrios. The most interesting thing about myself and Adriana, I think, is we're from Visit Britain, which is the national tourist board for Britain. We've got the Olympics coming up, we've got the royal wedding. And I think the most interesting thing there is I'm Irish and Adriana's Italian. So take away from that what you will.
Nobody's perfect, eh?
There you go. The title of the presentation we were asked to present on, I'll just read it out because it is a bit long-winded. It's how can social media allow destinations to communicate and influence the spend of their customers before, during, and after their visit? It does work. What we're going to look at in the next 15 minutes is basically a years-long sort of voyage of discovery of where we were a year ago and where we are now in 15 minutes. The reason why we've gone on that voyage of discovery is we did quite a bit of research into the booking patterns of a long-haul traveller. Someone thinking about coming to Britain, you know, where does a national tourist board, as in Visit Britain, where does their website, where does their online activity, their main online activity, where does that come into play when they're thinking about choosing a destination? So we did research 8 different countries, about 1,000 recipients, people who, you know, travellers, actual, you know, not just random people on the street. The majority of them, the vast majority of them, came back and said, National Tourist Board site, well, once I've booked my ticket, I'll probably check it out. You know, so in terms of actually influencing more people to come to Britain, the National Tourist Board site, very, very minimal effect. So our decision right there had to be, we've got to start tapping into the places, now whether that's TripAdvisor, whether that's wherever, we're going to start tapping at those places earlier and start influencing that, you know, start influencing that buying cycle before people actually make the decision. The obvious thing for us, even back then a year ago, was social media. Social media is where our customers are. That's where people are going on a daily basis, so that's where we have to put our marketing messaging. 4 platforms, none of which should be very revelatory to you, but, you know, the big dogs, the big people out there who are getting the most cut through. Twitter, YouTube, Flickr, and Facebook. You know, there's a multitude of other ones we could do if we had the time and if we had the resource, but what we're looking for is the biggest bang for our buck. Get as many people as possible viewing our content, and in social media, these were the 4 that we decided to concentrate on. So, oh no, there we go. Twitter's the first one. Now, I'm going to be not controversial. We've got about 17,000 followers on Twitter. For us, for me in particular, Twitter is, all our engagement is very much B2B, and it's very much sort of a bit of research, it's getting PR and press releases out there. If I'm being absolutely honest, our interaction with the end consumer via Twitter is pretty minimal. There it is. We do get cut through, we do get reach. It's a good way of, you know, getting partner messages in front of an audience. Now, some of our reach on Twitter, you know, if we're lucky, if we're picked up by the right people, if we're retweeted, we can reach 1 million people on Twitter. So if a hotelier comes to us and says, you know, what's Visit Britain doing for my hotel? Putting them on the homepage of the website, it's not really going to happen. You know, it takes a long time. It can take a couple of days to get that all done through publishing. But to simply cut and paste their offer, put it on Twitter, it's a good means for that. Next one is video. Now, YouTube, of course, is the main video player. We're very active on YouTube. We also have this one channel. This is the one example we've got of our online marketing where we're creating our own platform. It's called visitbritain.tv. And essentially what we're trying to do there is kind of replicate the YouTube model, in that what we want to do is get as many tourism videos as possible about Britain, put them in one place, so that if we can get one person there to look at one video, the chances are they're going to browse a couple of videos, they're going to see a few more. It's also very good in terms of distribution. You know, we've opened up the embed code, so if someone sees a video they like, they want to put that on their website, they can take the video, put it on their website. We know exactly how many people have watched it. One of the questions that was asked a year ago when we set this one up was, well, hang on, what if a Greek travel agent who wants to take a video about Britain and put it on their site? And the answer to that is, like, doesn't matter about visitbritain.com. It doesn't matter if they don't come to visitbritain.com. If a Greek travel agent can take a Britain video and put it on their website, we shouldn't be locking them down. We should be thanking them, shaking them by the hand and saying, thank you very much. Here's a few more. Refresh them every month. August last year, on Visit Britain TV alone, we had 300,000 views. As Adriano always points out, why have you got a stat in there from last August? And it's because I'm too lazy to update this PowerPoint presentation. But basically, in the last year, we've had about 3 million views of videos about Britain on Visit Britain TV. Now, as everyone's pointed out, it's not free, but it's certainly a lot better than putting our money into banner adverts or something like that, or putting them into pay-per-click, for instance, because we don't sell anything on our website. We're just there to inspire. If we can inspire 3 million people via videos for the cost of bandwidth, that's an awful lot cheaper than getting 300,000 people to come to your site via pay-per-click, or Google AdWords, however you want to call it. Now we're getting into what I think is like the really sort of interesting areas. Flickr. Flickr's, I'm sure you all know, but it's the main photography sharing site around the world. We were launching our new website, it was summer of last year, and about 3 months before we came to launch, we were going through, yeah, we've got all the new content, that all looks great, it'll look nice, we'll strip away a lot of the content, we'll put videos in there. What about the imagery? You know, how much imagery have we got that can really inspire people to come to Britain? And we had a look through, and basically a lot of our imagery, it was this stuff we've been looking at year upon year upon year. We were sick of seeing the same old sites of, you know, the Beefeaters and things like that. So we went out to Flickr, and we had a quick look around Flickr. Originally, our view was like, we'll put our photographs on Flickr. But we had a look around, and the amount of people, I mean, literally professional standard people who were putting pictures up there of Britain, which were far better than anything we could have shot. And, you know, this was their voice to the world. And basically, we went out to that community and we said, simple messaging, you know, we love your picture. We think that really encapsulates, you know, what Britain is all about. It's seen through the eyes of a visitor, or seen through the eyes of a traveller. Can we use that imagery on our website? A couple of people came back and said, is it for commercial reasons? What's it for? And we're saying, no, it's not for commercial reasons. It's to promote Britain to the overseas. We're not selling these photographs on. We're not selling them to BA or anything like that. Basically now we've got 239. I'd call them professional. They're professional in all of the fact that they don't charge us for it. 239 photography ambassadors around the world who've submitted nearly 5,000 images to our pool on Flickr, which means we've got 5,000 images to go through and pick the best ones out of, put them up on our website. Sorry, 50,000 views, that's great. This is our new website, but basically all the hero imagery on every single page on our new website comes from our Flickr group. So not only have we saved, you know, money and not having to go out and shoot these things, but we've created a little link up there in the top left-hand corner with a link back to the photographer's Flickr page. So it's a credit for them. You know, it's our way of thanking them to go back. Not only have we got this great imagery, but what we've also got, we've got about 239, if you like, you know, ambassadors who are going out there to their social graph, to their friends, to their relatives, to their peer groups and saying, my picture is on the National Tourist Board website of Visit Britain. Here's the link, push it through. So if it's doing nothing else, and it is doing a lot else, but if it was doing nothing else, it's getting, you know, that word spread out through social media exactly about what Britain's about. Now then, now we're getting onto Facebook, which is, it's 90% of what we do. There's a quote I made the other week. Our social media is based around 3 things. Facebook first, Facebook second, and Facebook third. What we did with Facebook, again, going back a year ago, we had, as a lot of people do, they had multiple Facebook groups. You know, they had Visit Britain Nordics, they had Visit Britain India, they had Visit Britain this, they did Visit Britain that. Not really much engagement with the community at all. Just putting up pages and hoping people would go, and hoping somehow through the magic of Facebook, suddenly millions of people would start traveling to Britain because of a static page. Surprisingly, that didn't work. So what we did was we amalgamated all the pages. And when I say we amalgamated, you can't do it automatically. You have to go through manually and start closing down pages and saying, you know, putting messages up there saying, we're really happy to have engaged with all 60 of you, or whatever it was on some of these fan pages. But please now join the joint conversation over on this one central platform. Next thing we thought was, what are we going to call it? Well, Visit Britain. Do you really want to say in front of all your friends, you know, I am a fan of a tourist board? It's not going to have as much cut through. as if you're the fan of a country, or something, well, I think anyway. In Britain, we have this, the Union Jack, that's the flag, it's probably the most distinctive emblem, but also in the UK, it's got certain connotations of overt nationalism. You know, so we didn't want to be associated with anything too far to the right about, you know, any of those political connotations. But you take the Union Jack, you wrap it in a heart, and you call the group Love UK. It's pretty self-explanatory there that we're not here to shout about, you know, Britain is better. We're here to say, you know, join the conversation. What do you love about the UK? So we started building on that. And again, we do it through listening. The listening is the key thing. And to begin with, you know, we were putting up posts about, here's a link to our itineraries. Here's a link to a special offer. Yeah, you know, a few people would like it. You get the odd comment kind of thing. One day, it was a Friday afternoon. I'm not sure if the person doing it had a few drinks at lunchtime or something, but they put up a post just saying, everyone's quiet out there, Love UK sends you a hug. Within about 10 minutes, there was about 200 replies saying, oh, Spain loves you back, Greece loves you back, here's a hug from Portugal, here's a hug from big kiss from Hong Kong. And that was the real light bulb moment for us, that it was like, if you want to be active in Facebook, you know, brands such as ourselves, we're guests on Facebook. Facebook wasn't created for a brand to go on there and start shouting about their offers. Facebook was there as a social platform. You know, put the media to one side and get back to the social aspect of it. That's the key for us. So whatever we try and do now, we try to make it a socially led thing. Say to people on your Facebook page what you would say to them in a pub, in a restaurant, at a conference. Engage with them, talk to them, be friendly to them, listen to them. If you put something up and it gets 5 comments and 10 likes, you probably haven't hit the button. And you know that within, not even within an hour, within 10 minutes, you know whether that post has hit the nail or not. If you put something up, one of the ones the other day was, who would you invite, which British people, famous British people, would you invite to your dinner party? The comments flowed in. They absolutely flowed in. We had about 400 replies to that one. So things like that, leave them up. You know, as long as people are engaging, keep the posts going. So that was the initial point of what we were doing on Facebook. This is some of the stats that sit behind the page. 161,000 people are now using, you know, our page on a monthly basis. But what's really interesting, 32 million views of our content now on Facebook. Now, last year, if we'd had the sort of like 40-minute presentation, you'd have seen all the slides about Visit Britain's decline in visitbritain.com's decline in numbers. We have never had more than 18 million visits to our website. But very quickly, we're getting 32 million views of our content now on Facebook. So in terms of our online reach, it's really, really expanding and going out there. So very quickly, because one of the questions as well is ROI. And again, I always make the point to my directors, to anyone talking to, don't judge social media on ROI, judge it on engagement. But nonetheless, if we're looking for what we're doing, what we've got from Flickr, for instance, if we were to have gone out and shot all those pictures around the country to do a complete image refresh, you're talking about £200,000. Impressions alone, so I'm talking about, you know, ad impressions. If we were to get that amount of 135 million impressions, it would have cost us about £2 million in equivalent advertising value. But, and I can't stress this enough, in my opinion, you know, somebody commenting on a post in front of all their friends, that to me is better than any impression, because that's an endorsement, that's a social impression. That's someone's peer group saying, I like this, I'm commenting on this. The next one's a bit fictitious, but we'll put it in there anyway. If we were looking at driving that amount of people to our website via PPC, £33 million. No one believes that's that, but it's good to keep it in there for the financial people. So, before I hand over to Adriana, we've now got to the point where we've been having fun, but we've been playing, you know, dabbling in social media for a year. So, the big things coming up. For us, Facebook isn't getting any smaller. You know, you may hear the odd sort of comment saying, oh, the decline of Facebook's coming, you know, people are going to start logging off. Well, I haven't seen it yet. I still think it's growing. It's certainly not getting any smaller. And the second big thing is geolocation. So the whole thing about checking in on your mobiles, you know, where you are, what's around you, deals and things like that. So our big thing now is combining the two. So at this point, I'm going to pass over to Adriana.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Yes? Okay. Right. Okay, so this has been, well, I'm delighted to be here today to talk you through what we've done over the past few months on Facebook. And the key thing for us really was our big idea was we wanted to produce a global guest book for Great Britain. Okay, and the only way, we wanted to get that out to the eyes of the world, to the biggest audience possible. Now the only way we could do that was through social media. Okay, and through social media we knew that we could inspire people every day, and that was our key objective. You know, social media has revolutionized everyone's lives. Okay, people use social media every day. For some people, it's the first and last thing that they do on a daily basis. So this was our key audience, and we knew that these are the people that we wanted to target. Okay, so why Facebook Places? As Justin just said, Facebook is obviously getting bigger, but also geolocation is huge now as well. So there's already existing platforms out there available. So for example, here we have Gowalla. There are 600,000 registered users on Gowalla. Okay, fair enough. There's Foursquare, 5 million registered users on Foursquare. But, and you know, that dwarfs Gowalla. However, Facebook, we have over 500 million registered users. So for us, it was that was simple. Why would we use anything else other than Facebook? You know, Facebook. You know, yes, there are existing platforms out there, but we didn't want the trendiest one. We didn't want, you know, the best one to use. We simply wanted the biggest channel possible. So for us, that's what we did. Okay, so before I show you what we actually did, the end final product, I'll just take you through a little journey to show you how we got there. So Facebook Places, Facebook, sorry, there are tens of thousands of places already pre-set up in Facebook. So any one of us, anyone that's using Facebook, you can check into any place. And 9 times out of 10 that you'll find your hotel, for example, your attraction will already be set up in Facebook. So what we decided to do, we built a tourism filter which pulls through the top UK places from Facebook. Now, the reason why we did that is because we didn't want to include every Starbucks, and we didn't want to include every bank, because literally you can check in anywhere now. So we did that to pull through the best UK places. From this system, which you don't see, this is a back-end system, that powers our top 50 UK places. Now this, I'm just about to show you that in a moment. This is key to note that when you see the top 50, it's not a list that we as Visit Britain have ranked or that we've put together. It's purely 100% crowdsourced. So it's by people like me, like you, who are actually going out and checking in when they're visiting places. Okay, so that was the key thing for us. So here we have it. This is the top 50 UK places. It's a new thing that we launched at the back end of, at November of last year. So it's literally been running now a couple of months. And it sits on a separate tab on our Love UK page. Okay, first of all, we have Selfridges at the top at number 1. There's 5 key benefits. First of all, you get to see how many check-ins that place will have. So for Selfridges, there's over 5,000 check-ins. Second of all, you get to see if the place or attraction is free. Thirdly, you can click for more information, which will take you direct to the website. Or if the place isn't free, there's also a link that will take you to buy tickets directly. But as it happens, our top 3 products here are all free, so I can't show you that link. You can get to see if your friends have visited before, and also you can share your experience once you've been, perhaps when you're back. The key thing for us, this only shows the top 50 places, but, you know, at the back end of this, we have that's our tourism filter. It's our CMS system, which has another 300 places in there. So what we've been going out to the UK industry to tell them is get yourself using these existing platforms, because it's an easy model. All you need to do is you need to get your visitors, every time they come through your doors, if it's an attraction or a hotel or whatever you have, get your visitors checking in, because the more people that check in, the higher up the rankings you will go, and therefore the higher the chance of getting the world to see you and your product. Since we've launched this as well, quite a key thing, just to crack the top 50, i.e. to be number 50, back in November, you needed about 100 check-ins just to be within that top 50. Now, I think it's just under 1,000 check-ins. So in 2 months alone, you can see how much it's massively progressed. This is hugely PRable for us. Everyone on that top 50 there, every place, there's a story behind it. So what we can do now, we can go to these places, the Tate Modern, for example, or the Trafford Centre, or Selfridges, whoever you are. If there's a key exhibition or an event taking place where there's going to be thousands of people, or not even thousands, but just some people there, hundreds of people, we can say to them, get those visitors checking in, because then you will, we want to get you to the top. We want to make a big story of that and get you to the top. Also, unlike other applications, just another thing to note, this, for us, has real longevity, because most other apps will be competition-based. They'll only be up there for perhaps 2 months, and then they'll be pulled down. This, as long as we Visit Britain, and as long as we have the Love UK page, this will remain up there. So we want this, if there's 3 things to take from this, this is your inspirational tool for people to view and be inspired before they plan, before they travel. During, they can use it during, as they travel, or also, you can use it after you've been, because you can share your experience. So it's those key things. It was on the title of our slide. It's a real inspirational tool, so we're really proud of the fact that we've done that. We're showcasing Britain. It's the top 50 places, so use it. Well, not you, but that's what we say to Okay, my final slide here is Facebook Deals. Delighted to tell you now that this is something that is launching very, very soon in Europe.
Today it launched, Adrian.
It's actually today, yeah. Okay, so this is an extension of Facebook Places, and it's something that we're telling our UK industry that, this is, if you're on Facebook, enter your deal into Facebook, because it could be your restaurant or your hotel that will attract people. It will incentivize people to come through. Okay, there we go. It says 50% off a coffee, for example, it might be your deal up there that will incentivize people to come and visit. So at that point, I will pass you back to Justin.
Thank you. I think the great point about that, if we relate it back to the Greek tourism, particularly the Athens tourism industry, last night we arrived in Athens, we had a walk around, we went to Plaka. Is it Plaka, Dimitrios? Yeah. Plaka? Yep. We were looking for a restaurant to eat in. We were walking down that main road and we checked into the Acropolis, because that is us showing off to people back home, we're in Greece, we're at the Acropolis. Now, where Facebook Deals would have kicked in, if any of those multitude of restaurants along that row had then been able to pop up a Facebook deal saying 20% off your meal if you check in, I would have checked in and I would have got that 20% off. So that's what we're trying to do. And the main key point behind it is we're not trying to create our own platforms. We're not spending thousands and thousands of pounds, or even in some cases hundreds of thousands of pounds, trying to create a booking platform. We're saying to the UK tourism industry, the platform's there, we're going to promote it. It's up to you now to get your deals on there. So, last slide. What's been the effect for this for Love UK? That shows up okay. Basically, that's the chart of where we've come from in the last year. Now, it's all been steady progress. It's been quite nice, but really, not really much happened for a year. We got away with it. We flew under the radar because we really believed in social media. But right there, that point there, was where we launched Facebook Places. And right there was where we started promoting Facebook Places. And the top one, the purple one, is the number of people who are actually engaging with our page. Now, the difference for us is you're all Facebook users. Most of the times, if you're a fan of a brand, you view it via your own newsfeed. So you'll be looking at your own newsfeed and you'll see stuff going up. Quite rarely do you actually go to that fan page itself and see what else they have to say on that fan page. Exactly the same with us. That shows you how many people, so even though we had 20,000 fans in August, we had about 297 people actually going to our page in August. Since we launched Places, literally, we're now getting, you know, that figure's even gone up now. It was actually the last month, 500,000 people actually went to our Facebook page last month. And that's because, you know, we're no longer just, we're not broadcasting to them, we're engaging with them, and we're giving them a reason to come to the page. Top 50 places, everyone likes a chart, and everyone likes to see movement in a chart. So that's essentially what, that's the main outtake for us in terms of that. And that wraps us up. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justin and Adriana. Questions, please. I mean, I'm always impressed with the quality of the pictures that people are so proud to contribute. And being an ex-photographer myself, ex-professional photographer, and I still take off a lot of pictures, it's kind of how we can use this. And I think Visit Britain has done a fantastic job in doing it. And the second thing that's really, really interesting is how, with a little bit of change of strategy and going towards engagement, they've managed to engage people in a much more proactive way. Any questions for Visit Britain? Hi, Maria. Would you like to say who you are?
Yeah, my name is Maria from Greek Travel Pages. It's a huge database in Greece. My question is about the Flickr and the work you have done with that. Have you picked up its specific image from Flickr, or did you go and took the API and took all the images for Great Britain?
No, we...
because it's a huge job to go for its specific image, of course.
Yeah. No, down the right-hand side of the website, the visitbritain.com website, there's an API which will show the latest pictures that have been uploaded to that Flickr account, to the Love UK Flickr account. So when people are submitting pictures to that, they will automatically come through. It's monitored, so you know we can, as it comes through, if it's a picture of France or whatever, you know, obviously that wouldn't get approved to go through. When it comes to actually selecting the hero imagery, we go in individually and, like, you know, select the pictures we want. But when you consider we've only got about 400 pages on our website, you know, that hero image is so important. It's worth spending the time just to go in and select the best ones. So it's not automatic. Again, it takes time, you know, and time is money, you know, but we're not spending that money, you know, going out and taking what I think sometimes can be quite staged photographs. You know, quite often a lot of like the professional photography shoots, it's, you know, it's a nice Aryan couple walking down a beautiful summer's day in England or something like that. That's not really what the user identifies with, we think. You know, it's pictures that they've taken on their holidays saying, you know, it's Britain through the lens of a tourist, really.
Another question. Would you go on publishing pictures with commons?
Oh, yeah, it's all Creative Commons. No, it's all...
At all?
No, we always ask.
You always ask?
Always ask, yeah. Well, we ask in the first instance, are you happy for your pictures to be submitted? Then once they've agreed to it, or if it's under Creative Commons, then, you know, we'll go and do it. But we'll always acknowledge them, and we'll always, like, thank them. So we don't just randomly pull them off, no, because that would actually could lead to lawsuits.
Thank you very much. Another question? Before I go either to Margarita or to Mariana, I'd like to see if there's anybody who hasn't asked any questions, who have got a question before. Okay, Margarita, and then to Mariana. Sorry, Alex, I forgot you. Sorry, okay. Now they've got the microphone, the next one's yours.
Okay. I'd like to ask, I mean, after you did the work with Facebook, did you increase the number of people working for Visit Britain or the money being invested there? Or?
No. But what we did do was we transferred resources. So within the digital marketing team, there's a team of 7. So that's globally, there's a team of 7. Now, out of that 7, 3 of them now have social media in their title. So previously, where we would have had 2 copywriters, 2 editors putting stuff up, you know, and a fact checker on the website alone, we've actually transferred 2 of those people, sort of just shifted them over within the team to put more of an emphasis on social media. So we haven't had more money. In fact, if anything, we've had less money. We haven't had more resources, but we've dedicated more time to it.
Yeah. Could you tell us how many people
just let's...
3.
No, altogether, Visit Britain.
7.
Visit Britain as a whole, globally, about 100.
Thank you.
Alex.
Hi, Alex. I'm from PATA, the Pacific Asia Travel Association, and I'd like to zoom in on the area of budget that you touched on.
Yep.
Could you share with the audience your tactics that have worked in getting more, a larger share of the budget for the digital area, and particularly dealing with the issues of you have a chairman who wants to go to the trade show, they want to go to ITB, they want to go to World Travel Market. How do you overcome those kind of traditional ways of marketing? And also, have you been able to link how many people came to Britain because of your campaigns? Have you found a way of demonstrating there's a linkage that you generated X amount of visitors or X percentage of the visitors came because of social media campaigns? I mean, going back to the ROI component.
Yeah, no, I've got you. The answer to the second part is easy, and the answer is simply no, we haven't yet. But that doesn't mean to say we shouldn't keep trying. Our view is, let's not wait until everything's safe and we know exactly what the ROI is going to be. Let's go with gut instincts. If we know the world's on Facebook, if we know we're getting engagement, let's take a leap of faith, and see what we're going to do there. Now, the contrary to that is your first point, in that our budgets, which we've been allowed for social media, pennies, absolute pennies compared to, never mind the trade shows, towards the campaign activity, for instance. In that Visit Britain would still spend 20 times as much on a single campaign through traditional banner ads to microsite as what we're allowed to spend on social media. And yet our reach via social media is about, well, you can see what it is. It's probably about 4 times as much as we get with literally...
Pennies.
Well, yeah, pennies, but about a 20th of the budget. So right now, my message to our directors and to our chairman is, look at the results of the amount of people who we're engaging with online for this amount of money. Bring it down to CPAs, CPCs, and things like that, and say, how much does it cost us to reach 32 million people on Facebook compared to how much money it costs us to reach 180,000 people via a banner ad campaign? Look at the, I can tell you the figures afterwards, but look at, the thousands of pounds we spent on social media compared to the hundreds of thousands of pounds we spent on banner ads to microsites.
Jens?
Jens Trainhardt with Dragon Trail out of China. First of all, I think Justin, Ariana, you do a great job in basically using social media as a distribution channel and getting your word out and your content distributed. And I've done that in Canada 5 years ago. It was a lot of political workaround, and I'm happy to see that now tourist sports are able to do that. My question, a little bit different, a little bit follow up on what Alex was asking. Facebook is big and it obviously hits your main market, US, Europe, and so on. But on the other hand, your other markets are, Japan, Korea, Russia, Brazil, China. Are you doing anything in terms of multiculturally relevant marketing in these markets? Looking at other social media channels to be relevant, starting from your, let's say, Chinese website, Russian websites, and also the social media channels, and developing content that is relevant and distributed to the relevant channels?
Yeah, the easy answer is in markets such as Greece, Italy, Spain, the main European ones, we will do posts in that language just to those people. So you can set it up on Facebook that, you look at your user base, and actually Athens is the 5th highest city in terms of membership in our Facebook. There's more people are fans of Love UK in Athens than there are fans of Love UK in London, right? Which I think is great, because we're not trying to appeal to the British people, we're trying to appeal to the international visitor to come. So we can do a post in Greek just to Greek people, we can do a post in Italian just to Italian people, and only those people will see it. So again, there's a targeting there, which is great. In terms of China and Russia, which is obviously, potentially the big growth markets, simple answer at the minute, no. In the case of Russia, all our research says, the actual Russians who actually travel, the numbers are still travel agent based. And in China, although everyone talks about this exploding population in China and internet, which is absolutely true, the amount of Chinese people actually traveling to Britain at the minute they're not even in our top 20 markets. So whereas we want to obviously keep an eye on it and see, how that's going to develop in the future, which is when we'll actually start doing active, on those social media platforms in China. But at the minute, we've got seven people to do all the digital marketing out of a team of 100. We've got a tiny budget. We can't spread ourselves too thinly. We want to have as much impact to as much people as possible. Then once we've proved it in this level, then we can sort of go back to our chairman, go back to our financial director and say, it's worked here. If you give us another member of staff, another X amount of dollars, we can do it in China. But at the minute, we've got to focus on what is working.
Okay.
Thanks.
We'll talk about that tomorrow again with your presentation.